I was at the library for about 5 hours yesterday waiting for my car to get inspected, and I was thinking a lot about why is it so hard for so many of us who are not naturally creative or artistic or anything to come up with a way to not just be more creative, be more artistic, but learn how to express something meaningful from within, that's truly personal to us. And because I was thinking, I was like, most of us have no shortage of opinions. It's really easy to offer an opinion about things, but it's really hard to generate things from within. And, part of that is being more creative and, learning how to express yourself. And, I was thinking about Austin Kleon's books, Show Your Work and Steal Like an Artist. These are two books I've talked about over the last couple weeks. And he was saying, it's like, look, when you're just starting off, and you don't have the skill, it's really hard to produce anything meaningful and worthwhile. So just copy other people until you develop the skill. And then as you develop the skill, you'll develop the ability to produce more and more from within instead of simply copying or mimicking or, whatever, adapting stuff from other people. And, I thought that made a whole lot of sense. And I was like, I can't draw, for instance. It's no exaggeration to say this is just about the peak of my drawing skill. I think I maxed out right around age 4, and it's all been downhill from there. But for instance, if I wanted to learn how to draw better, right, it would be way too daunting for me just to sit down with a pen and blank paper every day, and just say, okay, I'm going to draw. But I got this from this art magazine that came. This is Brett Bigby. It's like a dragon and a dude on a horse. I'm thinking this is like a cartoon version of St. George slaying the dragon. I was like, okay, no, if I wanted to be, an artist, or at least, at the very least learn how to draw better, I would take a page out of Austin Kleon's books and I would just sit down like this and trace, right? Because it's like, look, I couldn't do this on my own. I wouldn't call this particular piece of art, great art or complicated art or whatever, but it's a lot better than I could do. And it's not so far advanced that it's ridiculous for me even to start with this, but it's from my perspective, it's all right, I could trace this, every day for an hour or 2 hours until I got bored, and then I could move on to something else. But I could trace this or things like it, and after a couple months, I think my hand, my brain, would start developing the capacity, the experience to start drawing shapes like this. And it's things that, I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. It's just by copying other people, it makes it so much easier. And this makes me think of Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he talks about in order to develop new habits, you need, new good habits, you need to reduce the friction that's involved with getting started. Because he's like, if there's too much friction, it's just going to be too hard to get started and to make whatever you're trying to do a habit. And I'm like, wow, if I wanted to learn to draw better, just tracing is really pretty easy, and it's kind of fun. It's not too difficult. I mean, I'm talking to you guys while I'm doing this, even though I have no real skill at it. And it's the same thing. It's let's suppose you wanted to be a novelist, or at the very least, learn how to write much better than you do. Well, it's take a piece of great literature, whatever's your favorite novel or whatever. Mine happens to be Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter as far as literature goes, excluding Shakespeare, of course. And I would just sit down with blank paper and a pen and just write out the entire novel, and do that as many times as I needed to until I got bored, or until I felt oh, okay, now let me try, producing something on my own. And you just keep doing that over a period of months and years. It's you copy the greats, in a way that's relatively frictionless. And, the more fun it is, obviously, the better. And, over time, it's you can develop the skill. You can develop the skill that you don't have in a way that's it's not cheating to copy other people, as, Austin Kleon says. I mean, plagiarism is, but just copying them for the purpose of developing your skill. It's so many people do that. I mean, even the great Shakespeare, right? One of his famous lines, I talked about this in a video I did on Man's Search for Meaning, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. While I was reading the Wall Street Journal a couple months ago, there was an article that quoted this philosopher Boethius, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And Boethius lived in like the 6th century. And he stated something exactly similar. In fact, the second half of the sentence was exactly the same as Shakespeare, who lived 1,000 years later. Boethius' sentence ended with, but thinking makes it so. So it's like, we all know Shakespeare was extremely well read. You know, like Romeo and Juliet was not an original play. He simply adapted it and, you know, put his own genius spin on it. But it's like even the great Shakespeare would borrow from people and then apply his own, you know, genius, his own personality, whatever. So it's like when you're just starting off, borrow as much as you need to in whatever way that's like as easy and fun to do such that you create the habit. You know, it's like if you can't draw original things every day for an hour, trace every day for an hour. Put on fun music and just get started. And over time, not only will you develop the habit, but hopefully you'll develop a skill, right? I mean, this is like, it's still terrible, right? It doesn't even look like much, but this is a whole lot better than, you know, what I could do on my own, which is about this. So anyway, I hope this helps. Have a great day.